There she is, MaximaThor. Like I say, I'm gonna pop it apart. Just a quick video, show the inner workings. Really is absolutely wonderful gun, in my opinion. Beautiful. Nico Sterling sight I put on it. Suits it really well. A little bit loud for some people's taste, but you can always put a silencer on it. Anyway, there's a few things I really like about it. I mean, the varmint in particular. I love this, the pistol grip stock. I just like Walther's varmint range. I've got a couple of them. Got an LGU varmint too. Long-term project on this. Not that long-term. At the moment, I can only, this is only filled to 50 bar because I'm in Sweden. I'm restricted to 10 joules. Actually 10 joules measured 4 meters from the muzzle. Strange. It works out with a 22 about 11 joules or so. Absolute maximum. But I'm going to swap the cylinder out because I mean these actually do unscrew. The plan is to try and swap it out for the Walther 1250 Dominator regulator valve, which screws in here. I'll show you in a minute where that goes. But the reason being, I have to regulate this down. I mean, as it sits, if I pump this up to full pressure of 200 bar, it's putting out around 60 joules at the muzzle. Which, I mean, for the Brits, it's FAC. For Sweden, yeah, it requires a gun license. I can't do that. So anyway, this comes off. It's one of the reasons I bought this, is because this is a removable air cylinder. Do a bit of doctoring, but I'll probably get a 1250, a Dominator 1250 air cylinder on it. Not air cylinder. Well, I will use their air cylinder too, but the valve regulator, which I've got on order, that's coming in. Hopefully the threads are the same. The workings in here are almost identical. It should screw on. The air cylinder from the Maxi won't fit it. It's just a different system. But I can fit then. I mean, a 1250, AR20, LG 400, they all use the same cylinder, so there's a large selection of cylinders. Plus the Maxi's a 200 bar, the Walther 1250, LG 400, etc. The cylinders, you can get them, they're 300 bar, so that gives me a lot more pressure in there. There's a lot more air with low joules. If I adjust the regulator to 10 joules, then I mean that's a lot. That's a good shot string right there, shot count. So anyway, that's the plan. But first of all, we'll just pop it apart. I'll show you how the inner workings, because there doesn't seem to be much out there on the web about this. I'll show you how the barrel comes off. I'm not going to take the barrel off today, but it's really simple. I actually have had it apart. One of the things I've already done is the safety. I don't know, in the States, some markets, it's a manual safety. So you can hear. I mean, it is a manual safety. I mean, it won't go. There's a little extra lever in there to push it in. But when you cock it, there's a little lug inside. I'll show you where it is. It engages the safety automatically. Okay, but I've done away with that already. It's a manual safeties is just something I can't abide. They just drive me nuts. Manual safety, the automatic safety, sorry. Okay, so that's one of the first things I do with any gun I get. But it's a simple fix. We'll go back. I'll get the scope off. Anyway, I'll show you how to get the stock off. Might as well do it right from the beginning. So after I pop the scope off, which will be easy, first thing we have to do is take the air cylinder off. As you see, it's incorporated. Before you can get the stock off, you have to take the cylinder out. And all it is on these is that little screw. I think it's a 2 mil, maybe a little bigger, maybe, yeah, 2 mil, 2.5, 3. I'll tell you in a second. But yeah, unscrew that, and then this does unscrew. So we'll just get on with that. Yeah, not measured. Take it, you can see this. Yeah, you don't have to take it all the way out. Breaking this free can be a pain in the ass. See how tight I have it. Nope. Actually, I'm going to get to take the side off before I wreck it. Okay, back there, we've done that. What we have here, this is actually a plumbing fitting that I turned down. Just to protect. There you go. Cracks it free. You don't have to empty these things to do this. The cylinder doesn't have to be emptied. There's 50 bar in there. Okay, there's a little grub screw mark. Just a point to note, I mean, to keep this parallel when it's in, so when it's in, so it's horizontal, easy access, and you don't get stuck like this. If for some reason you want to take this off, which, I mean, I've had this one off a couple of times. I had to get it off to measure it and to see if you could fit a regulator, which I'll quickly explain why you can't. But anyway, it's basically a 24 mil wrench. Best way to clamp these, I found from home, if you can find them. This is actually a clip-on handlebar for Triumph, an old Triumph Meriden, which they are in fact. You grab the verniers, hang on. Just going to spout it from memory, but .33 mil, which is what that is. So it's a 33 mil clip-on handlebar clamp, and you can actually slide it on, tighten it up, and clamp that in the vise, and then you can lever away. Trust me, you won't get that off by hand without that. But that's just a handy little tip you can use. And just so you know, obviously they make these in all different sizes, so whatever size tube you have, you can probably find a clip-on handlebar to fit it. But make sure you get a good one. Anyway, so there you go. But this fitting looks to be exactly the same on the 1250, which is what we're chancing. I mean, it's, I think 64 euros I've paid for one. 74, I think, 75 with shipping. But oh well, when that arrives, we'll see. If that, so with that, you can just leave that on. No need to touch that at all. So you got, where are we? There you go. 2 screws, Allen heads. Yeah, 4 mil. Pop those 2 off. Go around this way so you can see it. I mean, one of the great things I like about these things, the Walther, they're actually quite simple inside. Okay, so they're loose. They will drop out, or you can pull them out. It's just this little hook. There's one, there's two. See? There you go. Little container. Keep everything in one place. There is a magazine. It is empty, but just so as you know, it just literally pushes out. A little bit of pressure. There you go. That's it. Stock's off. Put that somewhere safe. This here, you can. There's a screw there. Little Allen. It's about a 3, isn't it? But if you undo that, this actually comes off. This is just a fit into. It's a piece of trim. And it snugs up to the barrel. That's that out of the way. So just take the magazine out. We want to cock it, pop it back, pop it out. No worries. Magazine's out. See, no safety. That's that's what I'm talking. The other advantage of not having an automatic safety, you can ease the action without even thinking about it. You can do it with the automatic safety, but you have to kind of juggle it, push it in, and get the bolt just the right place. Anyhow, if you want to take the barrel off, there you go. It's just this pin here. That's all there is to it. Knock that pin out. It's just a little straight pin. You knock that out, and the barrel will slide out. It's got a little notch in it. Okay, but I mean, I have no need to take it out today. I'm not going to. Why put wear and tear on shit when you don't need to? Anyway, back to taking it apart. I've got to try and do this upside down in some respects. Right where you can see it in the middle of the picture. There you go. So you can release that. I think this is a 6mm. I actually use a 1/4 inch because that's what I've got laying around. I can't find the 6mm. Yeah, 6mm. That's it. You can see it there. It's a 6mm or a 1/4 inch. Will do it. Okay. You just need to. It's not overly tight. Just pop that off. That's it. It's nice. It's a nice little piece of engineering. I like it. The other one, the 4mm. While we're at it, this guy on the bottom. Just when you put this back, if I forget to say later, make sure it's nice and straight, not cocked off to the side. That's where the rear screw for the stock, the trigger guard, fits onto. Okay, that's where the front one goes. There's a couple of nuts in here. Don't lose them when you take it apart. Okay. Next, there is. Let me get myself a pointing stick. That's what you'll do. Your finger out of the way. So there's flathead screws. It's 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, that's it. And this half the casing comes off. There were some questions on one of the websites about this crack, split, cut, whatever you want to call it. This plate comes here, that's it there, and it actually runs down the center. That's it there. So you'll see in a minute, this comes off as one unit. All your air gubbins, let's see what's in there. When you hit the trigger, the hammer hits, bang, pop, and there's an air channel goes up through here into through a hole in the barrel, forward of the hole. That's it. It's, like I said, it's a great simplistic piece of kit. Yeah, anyway, let's get these screws out. I'm back with it. Anyway, what did I get to? 1, 2, 3. 4. Nothing's going to jump out on you. Just undoing these screws. I'm going to spin this around. Right. I'm going to spin it around just because I want to do it. It's just easier for me. I don't know. Makes sense to me to do it this way. So let me see. Still this camera? Yeah. Okay. So you've got those 4. It'll take a little bit of wiggling. So this guy just lifts up like that. Chances are there's a pin. There he is. He fell out. He goes in there. Nothing better. So he just goes into that transfer shaft there. Okay. I'm going to try and do this completely keeping it flat, because when I pick it up it starts to get in the, you start getting dropping stuff. So there's the other screw. So sort of sits like that. There's your magazine center. Magazine locks it. The pivot. Yeah, the castings are not that great on these things. Kind of disappointed in that, to be honest. But hey, I'm not paying 20,000 euros for it, so yeah, little spring, don't lose it, just like will. Yeah, it won't come out unless you want to do that. That basically holds this. That's it. Actually, there's no need for us to mess with that at all. That'll just come out if I mess with it. Anyway, so there you go. Just put that aside. Nice and clean, no warm parts in there. Shouldn't be, it's like nearly new. Let's see if I can get this camera in a little closer. Hopefully that works for you. Main parts. So obviously, trigger, pivot, nothing. Hammer spring. That's really just the guide for the hammer and the hammer spring. Okay, here's the actual hammer. This is the guy that smacks onto the pin. Let me get that on safety. Let me explain this a little better. So the cylinder screws through there. Okay, so this pin protrudes through. You can see that there. So when it's cocked, tell you what, under pressure. So now it's cocked. See, the hammer will go back. The hammer, the pellet probe. Okay, so there's a pellet in there. Breech is sealed. It's locked. And you would have a different size, smaller screw. You get a Torx bit. Don't damage the rubber. So basically, there's your air cylinder here, and then your hammer is going to tap that, and that's the valve. You know, it just taps it, lets the air out. There's a seal here. You can see it. There's a small seal down in here which seals it, so the air doesn't come in here. It all goes straight up there through the hole in the barrel. Out goes the pellet. Dead simple. Okay. So anywho, and there's the sear. I mean, that's it, cocked, locked. There's the other sear. safety obviously is on, off, ready to fire. Yeah, I might have a camera there. Do that again. Yeah, it's literally just stops the trigger going back, doesn't block anything else. Trigger will go there, but obviously I'm not going to let that fly off. There you go. See, and that just flies forward, taps that. Taps this fella, and a little bit of air comes, well, a little bit of high pressure air out, up through the channels, out through the barrel with a pellet in front of it. Dead simple. So, like I say, with the 1250, this I believe is the same. So I can put the 1250 valve on here, it'll come out the air, and then I'll put a 1250 LG 400 300 bar tube on it. Give me a nice regulate. You can also do it, I mean, if it works, it'll also be a way to regulate this gun, period. I think you can, 40 joules you can get. I think a 50, I think they do a 50 joule one too. You can adjust the regulator up to 50 joule. It's got a longer plenum on it, but it's exactly the same unit, just slightly longer. So you should be able to probably get a 50 joule regulated gun out of it if you want. Anyway, back to where we were. The safety I was talking about. Normally, when this comes, and like I say, I don't know if they do this all over, because you can buy used ones of this safety block. If we take this out, it's literally, that's the pivot for the safety. Useless. Right, useless, it does its job perfectly. So the safety catch, it's got, I don't know if you can see it here. That's that extra little safety. But anyway, what it is, there was a block here. This casting actually came up to about this high. And the reason being is when you cock it, it comes back, you can see it. This guy here slides in, hits that block and pushes it back. And without that block in there, that extra block, with that, I mean, it off and then cleaned it up with a file and some sandpaper. So there's nothing for this to hit. So there, so it would be hitting like that and then pushing it back on. Okay. So, but the safety still works perfectly manually. It just gets rid of that annoying automatic. So where were we? Let's take the out of shot again. Look at me. Okay. Yeah. Hammer spring. I mean, I don't know what you want to call this. Locating pin guide. Hammer itself, quite simple. Let's say guiding the pin. It just slides in there with the spring on it. Okay. Like I say, there's a sear. It is some kind of alloy, but seems strong enough. I wouldn't say, I don't think it's aluminum as such. It is an alloy. It seems a lot harder than just an aluminum. I mean, aluminum would just wear and in no time at all be useless. And you can replace these. Let's face it, you could make one of these if you had access to a cheap Chinese mill. Now, you could cut one of them out of anything you wanted. But there you go. So that was the sear. This is the, well, let me drop that hammer back in without the spring, so you can see how it works. So when you cocked it, you're back here, the spring's pushing, so trigger. Adjusting the initial travel is this screwdriver, this screw here. You can, that just changes when it screws up against here, removes that movement. I find it's actually just about right from the factory. I quite liked it. But once you get there, you feel it. So you can call that your first stage. The travel's adjustable. The tension would be adjustable too by changing. There's a spring in here. You could put a lighter spring in or a heavier spring if you wanted. I mean, you could possibly just put a little spacer in there, but I think just changing the spring, that would change the tension on it. Okay, and there's the actual spring there, is for the tension on the second stage. So you would hit it on the second stage and then see it lift. The first stage, solid, up, click, C is free, hammers forward, bang. That simple. See? That's out. I don't think I need to take it apart anymore. Whoop. And this is just, the pin comes out, this comes off. There's your, let's say the magazine in shot. That's the magazine indexer and advancer. One thing you might knock out is this fella here. That is the it's the little ball that sits on your magazine. It sits in there, locates at a little detent. Think, okay, just locks it in place, gives it that positive feel. But that sits in there, so be careful you don't lose that. Don't be taking this apart and walking around the shop with it. You will lose that. What do they call this? The transfer arm or some damn thing? And there's the pin. Just remember that goes up. Sits in there. Like so. I wasn't going to take it apart, but apparently I am. Okay. Transfer rod. This you can buy these as replacements. There's little green O-ring seals behind the pellet. Okay, seals off the breech once it's loaded. Yeah, this does actually come apart. Definitely not going to be taking that apart for you. Probably needs to be pressed. Oh no, there it is. Okay, there's a spring in there. You don't want to mess with that unless you have to. But you can buy these parts separately, or you can actually buy this whole thing as one kit. I'm really impressed with that gunk. Yeah, it works. Slide him in, put him back together. Oh, she's windy. Okay, so there's that. I find it just as easy. Drop that in. You see, there's no way to adjust the tension on this from the hammer spring. And the only way you could do it would be you'd have to turn this down so as it slid up in here, and then put a screw back here to move this backwards and forwards. Easier. If you want a lighter one, just get a lighter spring. I mean, you'd probably get away with it. If you really wanted it a little lighter, just cut some loops off. If you wanted it stronger, you could probably put a spacer on the other end, like in here. So that would have to go through it, like a little washer, and that sits on the outside. So the spring sat on the washer, so it would just increase that pre-tension. I don't think you would need to though. I mean, it's already set at 60 joules from factory, so that's that. Perfect. That's in. Use that for safety. Just drops in. Nice and basic. Okay. Again, just check. Make sure you haven't knocked this fella out. Right. I found the only thing you get out of line on this is putting this back. If that's back there, it's the wrong side. So just put that forward. Then drop it on. It's in. I mean, it's a great bit of kit for this. If this is in the wrong place, okay, it won't go back. Quite simply, it won't go all the way back. So you can have this in the wrong place. Like I say, if you try to put it back together with it back here, chances are it won't go forward. Okay, so, but we'll check it as we go. So 4 little screws. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm out of shot again. There you go. So I'll get my hands in the way, but there's something. Don't graunch these up. And they don't need to be belted in with an impact driver. Just a little pinch. Okay. Now, before we go any further, slip the cocking handle back on. Before you tighten it, you grab a hold of the gun. Make sure it cocks, because if this is in the wrong place, it'll jam it and stop it from cocking. So just make sure this action works. Like I say, this is the advantage of manual safety. I can release the action. There you go, that's in. Might as well, I can pinch that up with my 1/4 inch or 6mm again. Again, just a pinch. That's it, locked in. This fella. Again, just make sure that when you tighten this up that this thing's straight, centered, because it does want to turn on you. Just pinch it up, nice and straight. Sure it works. Everything works. for good. That is literally it. Now put the stock back on. Let's see, just drops in snug. Okay, that's it. It's in. 2 screws. They are both the same size, so no need to panic about that. That's it, stock's on. Magazine. Then, in case you didn't realise, some people don't, when you put the magazine on and you push this forward, you don't need to. You just got to pull it back. It'll automatically locate when it goes forward. That's a good plan. Drop a magazine, empty magazine. Okay. Just take a note of where it is. Remember, these things will double load. We're just checking now, making sure. See, the advance is fine. You can see the arrow gone. So you can double feed these. I mean, you could put all 8 in their barrel if you really were stupid enough. Anyway, that's that. Air cylinder goes back in. Try not to bang it. You will let air out. The idea is to get this thing back here. That's it right there. It can be pinched up